Okay, on this live session, this live coding session today, I'm going to be your tutor and Drupal for a full stack web developer and equally working with mobile application development. If you cannot hear me clearly, please you can actually let me know using the chat room. Today our focus is HTML5. You want to know everything that is required for you to get started with HTML5. So I'm going to be having a live coding session. We'll have a demo of what we are going to be working on today. Some of you guys might already be familiar with it. And at the end of the day, we are probably going to be looking at the code and everything you're supposed to know when it comes to HTML5. Okay, I'm sharing my screen with you. If you want to see my screen where it's good to put your phone on landscape. So now when you come to HTML, I want us to look at the structure of this thing on the browser. When you look at HTML, you're going to realize that, okay, just take for example, this is an HTML structure code that is actually running here. So when you look at what is HTML, HTML actually stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's a markup language. And the function of HTML for web development is just to create the structure of a website. There are different versions of HTML. We have HTML 1, 2, 3, right up to HTML5, which is the latest version of HTML. So you get to realize that HTML is just a structure. If you look at this thing very well, the beauty is not there. Why? Because we're using just HTML. Now, when we have a session of CSS, you are going to understand better on what how we can actually add flesh or add some decoration to an HTML. So the HTML is just like the skeleton, while CSS is just like the flesh. That's the best way you can understand. So just look at it. We'll first of all start with this demo of what is displayed to you. We are going to be looking at different types of HTML tag. Like here, we're focusing on heading. We'll have heading 1 right up to heading 6. We're looking at paragraph using things like strong on a paragraph. You're going to be seeing the code for this thing. We're using like link inside the paragraph. We are using list, order, and on order list. We are actually using a table. This is a table that is not well oriented, but it's fine. If it was CSS or using something like Bootstrap, you could really love it. So just focus on the structure. The structure means everything is there. Just get to think about maybe the money in your pocket. You can say, I have money. All is that is money in your pocket. You don't really want to think about the amount, what type of money it is, what color it is. You don't want to focus on that. But all is that if you have 25 francs in your pocket, you have money. Just like everybody's skeleton is a skeleton, but if you want to look at maybe the beauty of an individual, you have to focus on CSS, which is like a flesh. So after the table, we are going to be looking at form. To create form, just think about where you want to log into your UB portal or to any university or to website. And maybe you have to put things like name, matricle number, password, and all the rest. So that's the importance of things like that and all the rest. So look at drop-down lists, which you can have things like gender, age, which is restricted to take only numbers. Look at date picker, you can pick the date for today and whatever. You can submit and you can do a whole lot of other things. So we're going to be looking at that. We're going to be looking at buttons and their effect on I think that's it. Now, this is the structure of HTML5. I'm going to talk about it and implementation on every website. So that is the first thing we're going to be looking at. After that, we'll go to this other area. We're going to be looking at maybe your first website. We're going to be looking at linking pages using HTML. So that is let me just go to this, my first site. So we're going to be looking at these two. Looking at this up on all the rest. So that's just the brief thing. If I tell you that you can learn everything about HTML5 today, then I will really lie you. You have to keep learning. As the day goes by, they're giving you task assignment, you're working on it. That's how you're going to be improving on yourself and a whole lot of other things. My reference material for this course, this full stack development course, is going to be W3 School. So all my assignments I'll be giving to you, and even Code Snip I'm using is going to be here. I'll send the link to the group. It's going to be on the YouTube channel equally. You can equally come there and look at things for yourself. If you want to understand more about HTML, everything, the structure of HTML, the explanation for all these things, what does doc type means, and all the rest, you're going to be seeing that there. So the whole content of everything has been put together and is going to be made available for you. But that's not our focus for today. Today we want to focus on the code development. I don't know whether my screen is visible for you. So we are going to look at this. We are going to be looking at HTML. Let me first of all just start with something. Let me just create something new so that you see better what I'm talking about. Let me just say hi.html. Now, when you're creating any HTML document, it must end with .html. HTML is an interpreted programming language, which therefore means that the browser is the interpreter of it. So you can put even your name here. Let me just say I can put Andropov. We want to create your first website. Let me say that with your first HTML content. So whatever name you put there, you must put .html. HTML. So you save it. Once you save it, I can just type HTML and I press tab button on my computer. Now what you're seeing there on the screen now is actually HTML5 structure. So if you look at all these things, the doc type is a declaration. For some, you even see lang here. You see something like lang and you see here eng. Oops. You see lang eng, some you use eng. So at times you see FRU, which stand for French, whatever. So this is the structure of HTML5. Now when you come here, you're actually looking at the encoding system we are using. The encoding system here is Meta, is a UTF-8. You're going to understand that. Now if you come here, the next thing you're seeing is meta name, viewport content, with device with. Just a single line of code is what enable you, it help you to make sure that a website that you develop should actually be responsive. A responsive website is a website which is able to fit to any device, being a phone, tablet, or laptop. You should not be able to scroll left and right to actually be able to access the content. The next tab you're actually seeing here is the title tab. You want to put title to the page you're writing. Let me take, for example, I want to put something like, let me just say, Tekritoma. I'll save. Now, let me just right click here and I open to the browser. You see that Tekritoma, there are a lot of tags here, so you cannot really see that much. But if I close some of the tags I'm having on this machine, you should be able to see that Tekritoma where it's actually being displayed. Let me just try to close some of these things. So, let me close. So, if you see that title, this is a title, Tekritoma. So that's where the title is going to be displayed. Now the next thing when you come here, you're going to be seeing, this is the structure of HTML5. The next thing you're going to be seeing here is body. Inside body, for recommendation, I would prefer that you put a header tag if you want to put a nav bar. This is clearly to distinguish between the header elements and actually the other body element, things like the nav bar and all the rest. So this is the complete structure of HTML5. Whatever you want to modify, whatever content you want to create, that's the structure you're going to be using. Now come back to the code. Oops. Now to the code which was displayed on the browser, just take for example, this what was actually displayed on the browser for you guys to see. There are a couple of things that I know they are not there. Now when you come to HTML element, there are different types of HTML elements. Now we have inline element. What does inline elements actually mean? When we say an element is inline element, it means that do not start on a new line. So take for example, if I want to put something like, maybe a link will not start from a new line. An image will not start from a new line. A spam will not start from a label doesn't start from a new line. So we talk about inline element. If you're hearing it for the first time, you just have to keep learning like that. Don't say, oh, I don't understand what that actually meant. If you face any difficulties, please do not hesitate to drop a comment at the comment section on the YouTube channel, or for those following live on live teaching. Take only the necessary width. Now, one of the characteristics of inline elements is that they take only the necessary width that they actually expected. So it therefore means that if you put something like a link that will take maybe a width of just 25%, after that 25%, you give room for other inline elements to be added. But if you add block level elements, what are block level elements? These are elements that will actually start on a new line. Therefore means that after an inline element, if you start a block level element, what will happen is that block level element will go to the next page. We're going to be demonstrating all that. Now, block level elements start on a new line, take full width available. That's it. A good example of block level element is what is div, or we call it a container. The heading tag. You will never see two headings on one line. It's never possible. Now, the paragraph or form, those are good example of block level elements. Inline element we have spam, image, a link tag, label, input, and all the rest. Now let's analyze this code that is running. I want you to look at the code. I want you to look at the website. So this is the website. Now you need to identify all these things we put. The first element you want to see here, this is just a header, an H1 header element, and an H1 title. We can call it a title, a header element that has been wrapped with marquee tag. So if we go to the code, you will discover that that thing that is actually passing like that is actually, this is the functionality of it. And if you can see, the color of the text is blue. Why? Because embedding HTML and CSS, there's what we'll talk about inline styling. So what I simply did here is this an H1 tag. This is an H1 tag which I actually put a marquee element there. If you want to understand that better, we can come into a body tag here and just put H1. I'll prefer everybody to be using Sublime Text if your first time you're writing coding. So let me just see if I put something like hello and I want to see it on the browser. I think you see this is the hello I've actually put there. Now if I want it to be passing, or then I'll probably put the marquee tag. So I'll just put marquee. And I will come, it must have an opening and closing tag. So if I save this thing now and I actually open on a browser, you discover that hello is actually going through. Now, that's not our focus for this video. So we will come down here now in headings. When you're writing headings in HTML, there are 6 different types of headings. There are 6 of them. If you look very well, you discover that we have H1 right up to H6. H1, that's a heading for H1, H2, H3, right up to H6. Now, you as a developer, you have to choose the heading you want to use. Remember, anything you're developing, you have to make sure that it's actually presentable. The presentation of it actually matters. Just get to look at it on the browser. So this is the H1, this is H2, H3, right up to H6. So you select what you want to actually put on the browser. Now the next thing we want to look at down here is a paragraph. So those are heading tags. That's the first thing we have analyzed. That's heading tag. The next is a paragraph. A paragraph, just like you know about paragraph in English, a paragraph is just a statement or a block of text that has a unique idea. So if you want to put a paragraph tag in HTML, just P. You can just use the paragraph opening and closing of that. So that actually indicates that it's actually a paragraph. So if you look at this text down here where you have Lorem Issou, you discover that we have a first paragraph that ended here. we have another paragraph that started here. But if you view this element on the browser, you discover that these are the two paragraphs. Remember, we spoke of a paragraph being a block level element. So the first, though they are joined together in HTML text, you discover that this is the first paragraph and this is actually the second paragraph. Now, there are some things inside that paragraph we need to analyze. If you want to make something bold, you use a strong. You use strong to actually put that. Look at, if we go to the browser, discover that everything that is in between the opening and closing strong tag is blue, is bold, is bolded. So if you check on it, you will see. Now look at this text here. You're going to see how it's going to look there too. So look at the difference between where this one actually started and where you actually have this one. Let's just view on the browser. You see what is actually going on here. So this is a bold that we actually have there. And look at this other one. This one is italicized. So those are basic things you're going to be using when you're developing a website to add some decoration and some other things to the code that you are actually writing. So regarding that, I think that's it. Another thing, so we have seen a paragraph. We're just looking at the essential tags of HTML. HTML5. We have seen strong. You want to make something bold. You want to make something italicized. You actually have to put EM in between the text. That's the closing. Now I want us to analyze the second paragraph. You know, most of the time when you go to websites, most of the time you realize that in between a paragraph or in between a text that you are reading, you see a link that will tell you click here. How do we really put that? Look at the text, look at this very well. You realize that if we go on a browser between these words like this on a browser, you realize that it's going to be blue like a link. The default color of a link on an HTML document is blue, but you as a developer, you can change the color to be red, to be whatever color, depending on your style, your CSS that you are using. So if you look, you discover that that link tag that we put here is actually this one. That's where it is. It's on the line. Those are the default things, but you can change using CSS code or using any framework of any front-end framework of your choice. Another thing I want you to pay attention is that if I click on this link, look at what happened. It opened a new link. And which link did it actually open? It opened Google. I was here. Let me close it again and you see what I'm talking about. I was here. When I click on this link, it opened Google. Why did it actually open Google? Let's go back to the code. Look at, from the start, this tag like this is known as the link tag. And that's where it usually has an ending and a closing tag. So we have said that if an individual clicks this text, where should he direct you? You should direct you to this website. And what's the website? HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, http://google.com. So we are telling you that, okay, if you click on this, if a user click on this link, this text that is between this tag, it should take it to Google. So I will save and I will open again so that you can see what I'm talking. So if I click here on that link, it's taking me where to google.com. Okay, let's change it to put something like Ajwa Market, or let's just change to put ajwamarket.com. So I'm changing that space there to put Ajwa Market. So I will save and I'll open this on the browser again. If I click this link, I should be able to take me to Ajwa Market, not to google.com. So we'll just give some time, it will open. So you see that's Ajwa Market. Ajwa Market has actually opened on the browser. That's actually open on browser because the link that I actually put to the HTML document was actually indicating that when the user click on that link, get to think about this. You might be developing a website and you want people, when they come to maybe a place that they don't understand, they might want to go and read a couple of things so that they will probably get to understand what is actually happening. So in that case, it will be very essential that things like that actually be embedded. So we'll go back to our code. That's how you put a link. Now there's another thing. Look at those after the URL or the website, there's target blank. This target underscore blank means that when I click on that link, it should take me to a new tag. It should take me to a new tag. You appreciate when I open it again. So if I click here, begin to look this. Let's just close before this Google tag. I'll close this one. I'll close this other one. And let me just see. I'll close all these ones. Let me go back to the browser, to the code. Let me right click, open in browser. Now I've opened this on my browser. Look at what is happening. When I click this, you open a new tab for me. It has opened a new tab, and it's directing me to Ajua Market. But why is it doing that? It's doing that because I was the one who actually indicated in my code that I should target blank. Target blank means I leave the previous site where I was and actually take me to a new link. Maybe I want to still be working on that site, so open a new page. You will see it most of the time when you're searching things on Google and all the rest. Let's appreciate it by me removing the target blank. Let me just delete the target blank and save it and open again on the browser. If I click on this link now, you open Ajua Market on this same page and you're not going to open any new tab. So let me click on it. It will reload on that new page. See, no new tab was created. On that same page, it will reload and take me back to Ajua Market. So if I go behind, I'm probably there. So that's the next important things as a web developer that you are starting up your work as a developer that you need to take into consideration. Okay, I'll maybe need to ask if anybody has worries as of now before we continue. Is anyone with any question? Hear you. Is there any question you want to ask regarding what I've been saying so far, please? Anybody has any question? Hello? Blandine, are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any question?
Yes, sir. I don't have any question.
Good. Okay, Yannick, are you getting me?
No.
Is it Yannick there? Serge, can you get me?
Yes, sir.
Can you get me, Serge?
Yes, I'm listening.
Wait again. Tambe, can you hear me? If you need to talk, you need to unmute your mic. Tambe, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Perfectly.
Okay. Do you have any question?
Sir, about the blank pad, it's just that I was trying on my machine to. I haven't understood.
Okay. When you say
remove it immediately, remove it.
Not hearing me, I go move on.
When you say target, when we say target blank, it never means okay. The best way you can appreciate this, the best way you can appreciate by the effect. I want you to monitor the effect. What is happening now? Let's keep the target blank there, and let's open our code on the browser. Now, look at this tag this way. Let me remove all these things here. Look at where we are on this browser. On this spot where the cursor of my mouse is. Look at where I am. There's no other tag this way. But when I come and click on this link now, it has opened a new tab. Have you seen what has happened? It has opened a new tab. That means that this is the page where I was. But each time I click on that link, it will open a new tab. It therefore means that you might not want to interrupt what you're doing on this page, but you want to carry out some other activity. You want the user to be able to carry out another activity on another page. So that's when we use the target blank. I don't know whether I make it clear. So it's opening another new page. But now I'll go and remove the target blank. Let me remove the target blank there and see what happened there. So I'll delete this target blank. I will save. Then let me open on the browser now. Let me see. We are here now. Look at something. If I click on this link, it doesn't open any new tab. It's on the same page. But what I've done now is I just left the site which we were, and it's actually in another direction now. I don't know whether you get it. So that's also the difference between target blank and using a link with target blank and just using a normal link. I don't know whether you get a clarification now. You're muted, so if you talk, I will not be able to get you. Do you get it clearly now, or you still need further explanation, please?
It's clear.
Okay. And I guess a question on the chat room. Please, can you come back on the list of items on the HTML? Yes, I'm coming back to the list of items on HTML. So the next thing we want to look at is listing things. You just get to think about lists like you want to probably go to the market and buy some things. You have to come up with a list. So you want to list things on the website, things like that. So if you look at, there are two types of lists here. This list we talk about on order list, and this list we talk about order list. There are different types of lists, especially when you're using framework and all the rest. So on order list, you don't want to put them in any order. So you say on order list, just point. Everybody has point. But now order list, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How do we create them? Using HTML. So this is actually an on order list where you see UL on order list. When you see order list. Where do we actually use this thing? We actually use them when we are actually looking at things like so we use lists like navigation bar. Things like navigation bar, we want to do listing on the website or point. Take for example, you might be creating a website which you're developing content and you want to list some things that people might probably be able to see. So at the end of the day, you will make up your mind whether you're using the order or on the order list. So I think that's just listing. It doesn't really have, we can even have nested listing. We can have nested listing in which you have on order list, on order list, we still have order list. It's still possible. There are a lot of things to do. Like I said, this stuff is just giving you the tips of the things you're supposed to know for HTML5. Now, the next thing we want to look at is table. You want to create a table. I know my table is not it's not well structured. What I meant by it's not well structured because you cannot really distinguish. Just look at the source code for my table. Or you just look at the table. Like this is a table. My intention is to create this table. This is a different rule. So in this table I have this is the row of shop owner, shop name, product and all services. So under name you have Andropu Fajebwa, Etadu Rene, Dr. John. Shop owners, UB Student Errands. Etadu Rene has a shop name, My Peace Bookshop, and he's selling past question and answer. Dr. John has Long Reach Product, he's selling soap and oil. So why Student Errand, the product is transcript, maybe helping students to apply for transcript. That's the table I wanted to create. So if you look at the source code for this, you're going to realize that the first thing I actually use a table. In HTML, we'll talk about tags. So this is a table tag. I use a table tag. After a table tag, the next thing I need to put is a table head. When you go to that table, you will see, let's just open there. When you go to this table, you see things like shop owner, shop name, shop product. Those are the table heads. So if you look at table head, TR stands for table row. That one means that you have 3 rows. You probably have this one, is going to have this one, is going to have this other one. So that's for the table head. Now for table body actually means that what is going to be on those tables. So the first is a row. We are going to be having the name, shop owner name, shop name, the services. So this was just repeated 3 times and with different owners there, with different data. Let me just fill in the table with different data, and that's it. At the end of the day, you must close the table. So it therefore means that a table has opening and actually closing tag. So that's that with table. So if you go to the browser, you can best appreciate that. So you discover that shop owner, shop name, product and services, and we have that. So another very vital important things you want to learn is actually creating forms. As a web developer, you're going to be needing forms someday. Now you might ask yourself, what is HR? HR simply means you want to put something like a rule. Yeah, I think that's the best way I can explain it to you. And BR means break. Break means you give some space because you're dealing with maybe inline elements or you're dealing with block level elements. They are too choked up. So you just put BR. You want to give some space. Let me put it so that you'll be able to see it better. You guys will be able to see better. If I put 4 of this BR, you see. Let me open on the browser now. Okay. See, look at this space. I want you to look at the space between Dr. John and this line, this horizontal line, which is HRI cautioning. Now I want you to look at it. I've put 4 breakpoints, but if I delete 3 of them and keep just 1, I save and I actually open on the browser again. You see what's going to happen. Now go ahead and look at now the space. You discover that the space has decreased. So if it's a content that is joining too much, I want to put a space between them. I can just put a break, a BR there, which stands for break. The next thing I want us to look at on HTML5, which is very important, is this aspect of form. Now, the first thing you want to write a form, you must use a form tag. All tag must have closing, except for some tag which are just opening tag. They don't close, such as image tag. So whenever you open a tag, make sure you close the tag. There's no harm in closing a tag that is just single, but there's always going to be harm if you don't close a tag that is supposed to be fully having an opening and closing tag. Now in form, you have action. Action, we'll talk about that. We are talking about this mainly for back end. Method, post. You will talk about some HTTP verbs such as post, get, delete, and all the rest. We'll talk about that subsequently when we start talking about back end development. Now labels. Label simply means that this form, the label is for what? Like if I just put input without putting something like first name, the user will probably just see a space without knowing what to place there. So first name, label, first name, it therefore means I want the user to enter by the first name in that input box. So you see input type, text, name, first name, placeholder, enter first name. So this is just let's appreciate it on the browser. There is, I'll explain. Now all those things we put there, that first name was this label, placeholder is what is inside here. Placeholder simply tell the user what to put in there, like enter first name. When I start typing, the placeholder will disappear. So that's the same thing that goes here. This one is email. For email tag, if you don't validate the email with arrobas, usually where it has been indicated as email, when you want to try submitting the form, it will tell you that invalid. Text, like you want people to enter like maybe long messages and all the rest, selecting gender, age, and all the rest. So we'll look at the code that actually control that. So that was that for me. Now if you look at it, we discover that we're using div. Div is just like a container. The container tag has content inside. So the content that is inside, the 2 things that are inside here is the label and the input. So because we want some space between this container and the other container, we put a breakpoint here. So the same thing, label, input type, text, name, last name. Next is email, type, email, name, email. Next, message. Now, this other div down here, pay attention to it, label gender, but using another tag, which is a select tag. Select tag, now you want to give the user an option to select multiple things. So the first option is male, the second option is female, the third option is others. If you are not male, you are not female, then probably it might be something else. So the next div is actually, it's good practice for you to be able to put your element inside a div, because when you want to pick them up and decorate them using CSS, it will be very easy. to be easy for you to use things like ID and class. We'll talk about that in the next session where we are talking about CSS. So that the same thing goes for date. You want to put date. You see, just this label, just telling the element that it's a date tag is able to pick up the date. Now this is a markup language, which therefore means that some things have been done already. You are just there to just use some pre-existing thing. Like if you come to this date section, if I click here, just the aspect that you say the type should be date is able to sort out the date. Just pick up the date like that. So I think that is it. The next is button. Each form you have, you will need to do something with it. You want to submit, what do you want to do with it? So button, input type, you can put type submit, and name submit, and value submit. You can use the button tag to equally handle that and all the rest. We'll talk about that more subsequently. Another thing is image. So that was a button. Another thing is using the image tag. So this image, but now we want to use an image as a link. We want to use an image anyway. We'll talk about that subsequently. Now look at this. You realize that we're using a link, but the link we are using is an image. So the reference to that link should be what? Whenever we click on that link, it will take us to an image. You broaden the image. So I'll put image / use the name of the image. Then at the end of the day, the source of the image is where the image is located. Alternate, therefore means that if that image is not displaying, what should happen? If that image is not displaying, this text will be displayed. The width, I want it to probably be 20 pixels. So if we open on the browser, you will see that how to embed image on the website. So this is the image we are talking about. So now look at something. This is my mouse, the cursor of my mouse. Out of this page is just a pointer. Begin to look at what happened when I move in the image. When I move to the image, it turns to a hand. It therefore tell you that this particular thing is a link. If I click on it, the image broadens. Look at what has happened. The image now you can see a larger version of the image. All these other ones are just text and all the rest and some basic tags that you're normally supposed to do. So putting an image on the side, quotes and all the rest. So the last thing I want us to look at when we talk about HTML5, I want us to look at the structure, basic structure of HTML5. Now, this is the broadening thing that you're supposed to know when it comes to HTML5. That's the HTML5 semantic tag. Now, on all websites you're going to be developing, you're going to be having these things. You must have a header. All my assignment I'm going to be giving to you guys, you have to follow this structure. You must have a header. You must have a nav bar. You must probably have a session. You will have an aside. You have an article. You have a footer. So these are the different tags. You want to put a header tag, a footer tag. You want to put an aside, main, whatever you want to do. So these are the basic main semantics when it actually comes to HTML5. So that was that when we talk about HTML, the basic things for you to know to get started with it. I'll ask if anybody has any worries before we have a review. This is actually supposed to be my assignment I'm supposed to give to you guys. But for now, we'll have a review regarding this. So let's see if anybody has any questions before we move to this session. If anybody has any worries, any questions so far, please? Any question? Is there anyone here that you have not installed Sublime Text in your machine like now up to this time? Aisha, do you have Sublime Text installed your machine already?
Not yet, sir.
Yes. Okay. Blandin, you have Sublime Text to install your machine? Do you have Sublime Text installed on your machine? Sublime Text is the ID. Talk about it during the last class. Do you have Sublime Text installed on your computer?
No, sir.
Interesting. Junior, do you have Sublime Text installed on your computer?
No, sir.
Sir, I do.
Junior, is it Junior?
Sir.
This is Camilla. Camilla, have you installed on your own machine? Tabe, have you installed?
This is yes, sir.
Search, have you installed? You have a what? Speak up, speak close to your phone.
Sir.
Visual Studio Code.
Yes, sir.
Okay, my recommendation is Sublime Text. If your first time you are studying web development, use Sublime Text. Okay, for you guys who have not yet installed, I don't know what is your problem, but maybe I'll go through it with you guys. So my assignment for this class, the next assignment is that you come up with something like this. Please take a screenshot. Maybe I make it look super grab. Everyone, please, I'll check before you attend the next class. So you come up with something like this, HTML5. That's the basic semantic, the basic structure of it. Then one paragraph so that you guys will be able to see clearly what I'm talking about. If anybody has any question or any worries handling working with it like that, you let me know. So, but this is what I'll be expecting everybody to do before the next class. You come up with this.
So what's
Maybe tomorrow. I don't know.
So you mean the code or the browser?
My brother, it's code. It's browser that interprets code now. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
You are seeing this thing like this because there is a code for it, right?
Yes, sir.
So you write the code, and when you open on your browser, exactly this should be displayed on the browser. You get it?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, I've excuse you.
I'm asking if maybe your machine was bad. Can you use your phone?
Yes, you can use your phone. It's fine. You can use your phone. But you should install the. You guys already have the ID installed on your machine. How do you want to be able to cope with this thing?
So we'll download it now.
When you take how long to download? Now, the recommended site that I will actually encourage people to use is going to be for you to understand everything. Before I started this class, I actually explained that too. It's going to be W3 School. So you just type on Google W3 School. Type on Google W3 School and you get there, go to under tutorials and take HTML. Everything you need to do to do that task is found here. All the attribute classes, everything is found there. So that use that as your own textbook for the course, please. Anyway, I'll get the offline version and send to you guys at some point. In the absence of anybody has any difficulty installing the environment, any question you want to ask, please. I'm left with 3 minutes to end this thing. Any question?
Wow, sir.
Yes.
Jumia Market.
Someone is asking a question. Okay, I'm waiting for the tags on the group. When you finish, you finish the assignment, send to the group, please. Send a screenshot of what you see on the browser to the group. Bless you.
Yes, yes.